Our dear sister, Justice Hima Kohli, our family members, including Neelu, all those who have come here to be part of this occasion on the last working day of Justice Hima Kohli as a judge of the Supreme Court, including Justice Nanda, who has come from the Telangana High Court, the first woman judge of the Telangana High Court from the bar, brother and sister judges of the Supreme Court, Mr. R. Venkatramani, Attorney General for India, Mr. Kapil Sibal, President SCBA, office bearers and members of SCBA and SCORA, including the President of SCORA and the other office bearers, ladies and gentlemen. Well, after the beautiful poem which has been coined by Mr. Kapil Sibal, I don't think I can match him in his creativity by coining a poem of my own, but I can certainly reproduce what somebody else has written, so I'll begin with it. And I'll begin by saying, Hima, गूंजते रहे हैं अल्फाज मेरे कानों में, गूंजते रहते हैं अल्फाज मेरे कानों में, तू तो आराम से कह देती है अल्लाह हाफिज़. As we gather here this evening to bid farewell to one of our dear and esteemed colleagues and a very dear friend, Justice Hima Kohli, I derive solace from the fact that we may be parting with her company here at the Supreme Court. But her wisdom, her robust common sense as a fellow student of law will continue to shine through her pursuits and will continue to inspire the profession. I've had the privilege of sharing the dais with Justice Hima Kohli, and I believe I speak for my colleagues when I say that her legacy is truly one of a kind. Born in a family of history professors, Justice Hima Kohli followed in the footsteps of her grandfather and studied history at St. Stephen's College in Delhi. She ended up pursuing LLB only so that she could have access to a library that would facilitate her preparation for the civil services examination. Fortunately for the profession, the library access eventually opened doors for a wholly different career path. A first-generation lawyer at a time when law was hardly considered the chosen path by women, Justice Kohli's journey is a journey of impeccable strength, courage, and grit. The bench and bar would agree that we have been fortunate to have shared this space with her. We sat together during COVID times when the world around us presented a very bleak picture. But sitting with her during those very difficult times, there was always a ray of hope in the future of humanity. Justice Kohli generously credits the mentorship of some of the finest legal minds for her successes. Justice Sunanda Bhandare, Justice Sabharwal, and Justice Vijendra Jain. As young lawyers, we inherit the law and the legal conventions from our predecessors. We age in the process, unlearn our own biases, and hopefully become wiser. Only a few of us, however, remember what it feels like to be a young lawyer and to feel completely lost in the crowd. I think Hima has that ability still within her to feel what it feels like to be lost in the crowd. Justice Kohli is among the latter, therefore. In her engagement with the bar and in her interactions with young students, she brims with the desire to give back what she received from her mentors. She puts her strengths behind will, women in law and litigation, which provides institutional support to young women entering the profession. From seeing high dropout rates among women lawyers to now creating institutional safeguards for young women, Justice Kohli has led by example. Over the course of her career, Justice Hima Kohli has donned many a hat. In her own words, she thrives on the satisfaction that one gets in being able to do something worthy to make a difference in one's life. Her many achievements as a litigator, as a High Court judge, as the Chief Justice of the Telangana High Court, and finally at the Supreme Court are certainly personal milestones. In addition to that, every step of the way, Justice Kohli has enriched the institutions she has been a part of. She has served as a standing counsel for the New Delhi Municipal Council, additional standing counsel for the government of the NCT, and as chairperson of the committee of the Delhi Judicial Academy and the Delhi State Legal Services Authority. Justice Hima Kohli was invited to the bench in 2006. She has been candid about her initial trepidations in addressing the bar with the sheer volume of her questions. I'm certain that her questions have served a whole generation of young lawyers as well. She has allowed young lawyers an opportunity to hone their skills under her astute watch. Swift to spot injustice, Justice Kohli is swifter in finding meaningful long-term solutions to some of these problems. Perturbed by the unlawful detention of an inmate despite a bail order, Justice Kohli directed that the prison administration would be specifically trained in order to prevent such lapses. She also directed that law officers be engaged in order to assist the department. In another decision, she took note of the inadequate infrastructure to address the needs of persons with disabilities appearing for the Delhi University's online final examinations. The university was thus directed to make provisions for scribes for students with visual impairment. She went on to assume charge at the Telangana High Court, where she would shatter yet another glass ceiling and become the first woman to serve as the Chief Justice of that High Court. She stayed the felling of 1,300 trees that form a part of the KBR National Park and were a crucial lung space for the city. Chief Justice Marshall of the US Supreme Court remarked that the Constitution was an enduring document to be adapted to the various crises of human affairs. During arguably one of the most testing of crises, the COVID-19 pandemic, she rose to the occasion, exemplifying the role of constitutional courts in safeguarding public interest. She denounced the sealing of Telangana state borders to prevent the entry of patients from adjoining states for treatment. Justice Kohli directed the state to make adequate arrangement for migrant workers' movement. In such unprecedented times, she was alert to the iniquities of the impact of such restrictions. She passed a slew of directions to regulate the prices of essential medical services to ensure accessibility. At the Supreme Court, Justice Hima Kohli has been a part of benches that settle crucial matters of constitutional importance, such as in the government of the NCT of Delhi versus Union of India. More recently, Justice Kohli weighed in on a range of issues concerning citizens' right to health, to principles of just punishment. A bench comprising of Justice Kohli noted how the implementation of the POSH Act is being scuttled due to the absence of proper internal complaint committees and local committees, and sought responses from the relevant departments. Justice Hima Kohli's legacy lies behind her work on the bench. Justice Kohli has been a distinguished proponent of alternative dispute resolution in India. In her proactive national and international engagements, including the recently concluded London International Disputes Week, she has vehemently underlined the untapped potential of ADR in India. Justice Kohli has been a voice of reason. She stands for the rule of law, sensitivity, and sound judicial decision-making. She is the role model to many a budding lawyer, judges, and legal professionals who chart the unconventional and untrodden paths. She has used her voice to mainstream issues facing women in the profession. Justice Kohli has underlined that women who enter the profession are not mere subsets, and their issues are broader issues of the profession and of justice. As a chairperson of the Supreme Court's Gender Sensitization and Internal Complaints Committee, she has maintained that gender justice is central to a just society. Above all, Hima has sent, I think, a very crucial message that to succeed as a woman, you do not have to forsake your femininity. And I think that is very crucial because every woman professional brings a crucial element of her own ingrained compassion and sensitivity. To succeed in our profession, you don't have to behave like a man. You can continue to be a woman and bring the best traits of a woman to the profession. I recently had the pleasure to attend a court complex inauguration ceremony at the Karkaduma Court alongside Justice Hima Kohli, where she remarked about how the dais was so high, she wondered if she was even visible to the audience. It is my belief that she has stood tall in her commitment to the rule of law. to better justice delivery, and to inclusion. I'm confident that Justice Kohli is an inspiration to young lawyers and judges across the country who I'm confident derive immense strength from her journey. A last word on what the President of the Bar mentioned, the need to have more women in the high courts, in the Supreme Court. I couldn't disagree with him, or I couldn't agree with him more. But then where do we begin? I think we have to begin with the building blocks of the legal profession. You look at what is happening in the district judiciary today. Just a few days ago, when the Lok Adalat was going on, I had a left flank in my courtroom full of young graduates, they appeared to be. So I said, who are these people? And they said they have all young judicial officers from the Delhi district judiciary. So I invited them for a cup of tea to the lounge after we rose that evening. And I learned that 78 out of 108 recruits to the Delhi district judiciary are women. Now, you may say that this is because Delhi is such a global, cosmopolitan place. Women like to come here because, you wouldn't be transferred from Bahraich to Mirzapur to Sehranpur. You'd be, after all, transferred within the confines of the city of Delhi. That's only part of the story. Because you find in the larger states of the nation, whether it is Gujarat, it is Maharashtra, Karnataka, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, even Uttar Pradesh, women are now far exceeding the 50% benchmark. Now, what does that tell us? That tells us about the fact that the spread of women's education has spurred the involvement and inclusion of women in the workplace. But it tells us one very important thing, that where we create equal opportunity workspaces for women, women are capable of succeeding. The reason why women are joining the district judiciary in such large numbers is because there is an equal or a level playing field at the very threshold. Well, what is the problem with the legal profession? The problem with the legal profession is that there is no level playing field for women when they enter the profession. I would therefore request all seniors, let's stop recruitment to seniors chambers purely on the basis of networks. Friends' children, network children coming into our chambers. Why don't we have, say, the SCBA put out that, well, these are the seniors who would like to recruit juniors for the next term? And why don't we have some sort of a level playing field for juniors to apply for recruitment to chambers? So juniors, particularly women who are not connected to the law, can apply, appear at interviews, and be selected for seniors chambers. So if we create a level playing field for women, these experiences of the district judiciary indicate that women are capable of succeeding. And these women who are today joining the district judiciary are then going to go on and become High Court judges and eventually become Supreme Court judges. We ought not to be asking ourselves why so few judges of the Supreme Court who are women. We have to begin today and see how better do we create working conditions for women in the legal profession, in the district judiciary, from the district judiciary to the high courts. How do we ensure that women don't fall by the wayside when families, children, so on and so forth come into your life? And that's why I felt that the creche which we have created today in the Supreme Court, a very crucial initiative, because by the creation of this creche, we have increased the capacity of our earlier creche, which was about 20 children, to now almost 100 children. So the idea of doing this is to ensure that we create equal opportunity workspaces for women. And I'll only conclude with this, something which I said a little while back, that truly I think Hima's example of what she's done as a judge is a clear indicator that you can be a successful person in terms of your own personal commitments to family, to your sister, to your parent, and yet be a successful professional as a judge. At all the way through her career, and particularly in the court, she never let anybody have an inkling of the fact that her mother was seriously sick. She would still come into court every day, do her work with a smile, come and meet us in the lounge every morning, have a coffee, cut an occasional joke with all of us. And then, of course, when we sat on the bench together, share what was happening in her own personal life. So then I'll conclude with something that Shehzad Ahmed has said. And he says, छोड़ने में मैं नहीं जाता उसे दरवाजे तक, छोड़ने मैं नहीं जाता उसे दरवाजे तक, लौट आता हूँ कि अब कौन उसे जाता देखे. So I conclude with this note of gratitude to Hima. I believe that you are leaving the path much broader than you found it, and that many of you in the audience will follow in Hima's footsteps. Thank you.